Hi everyone, Sequim City Manager Charlie Bush here with a video recap of the weekly update that I just sent to the City Council, which is also on our website. Let them know that I'll be asking for direction from them on the 10th of July as it relates to a Habitat for Humanity partnership request that we received from their national office for neighborhood revitalization. We've been doing some work in that with Rally in the Alley. We have some bigger plans to do some bigger service projects in partnership with our local Habitat branch here in Clallam County. And this request takes it a step further. Habitat has a quality of life framework that they've developed that looks at neighborhood health and advancing the happiness of residents. And they want to do some baseline surveying for that and then do some follow-up surveying for that to see what kind of progress is made over the course of several years. We've got a number of projects planned. We've got plans to align our services better with neighborhoods and to look at dividing the city into particular neighborhoods and engaging directly with those neighborhoods. And so it appears to be a really good opportunity. And Habitat nationally will be raising money to help with some projects as well as supporting the efforts to collect data. So we're pretty psyched to get this request from them. We've been doing some work with the local branch and we've gotten connected a little bit with the national office as well. And some of the other communities that are being asked to be a part of this or likely to be a part of it include Charlottesville, Virginia, Los Angeles, California, Orange County, California, Milwaukee, Muncie, and Memphis, and others. So to be part of an effort with those other cities, and we'll have the opportunity to do some peer sharing with those cities as well, is great. We're going to look at the city of Sequim. We're going to recommend to the council that we be a part of this, that we look at the city of Sequim from a whole city perspective in terms of data collection, but also that we break that data down by neighborhood so that we have the ability to analyze things on multiple levels. And yeah, we're really excited about this opportunity. It fits really well with our council priority to put together a holistic neighborhood plan and to really work our services from a lot of different dimensions to try to customize those to specific areas of the city. Because every area of the city has slightly different or sometimes vastly different needs. Next up, we have some rubber marks on the plaza from tires and likely farmers market related. They've appeared this spring since the farmers market went out there. And so we're working with the organizers of the farmers market to see what we can do there. And we're also working on cleanup. And if we can find the right cleanup option, then it may minimize what we need to do to change activities out there or alter them in any way. The council has a planning calendar that looks ahead at future meetings, so I included that for them. We canceled the second meeting in August at the last council meeting, but unfortunately we had the wrong date in there. That was my error. So I just let council know that. It's not a material issue. It should be fine because they canceled their regular meeting, which it was off by a few days, but it's pretty clear what it is. So they will let me know if they have any concerns about that, I'm sure, or if they want to re-motion it. Next up, in related news, Sequim and all the cities in Washington, as well as the counties, receive a population estimate on April 1st of every year from the state's Office of Financial Management. And the main reason why OFM, as it's called, puts out these population estimates is because for state shared revenues, they're used for different formulas, and they're sort of the central clearinghouse for population. So every spring they ask cities for development data, and they take a lot of that information into their estimates and apply some some formulas to those. How many units were created and roughly how many people per unit, et cetera, which gives them a population estimate, which generally is pretty accurate. They as they feed into the census process, you see every 10 years at the federal level that's definitely more accurate. But these tend to track right along with the census, so they are in the ballpark. In any event, Sequim's latest number is 7,280 residents. This is up from 7,075 residents last year and 6,915 residents 2 years ago. We have a 2.9% growth rate for the last calendar year, not January to December, but calendar year, in this case being April 1 of 16 to the end of March of 17. And we did outpace the other area cities. Port Angeles was at 0.52%, Forks 0.42%, and Port Townsend 0.19%, we were at 2.9%. I let council know as well that when you look at growth inside of cities in Clallam County versus outside of cities, the growth outside of cities is actually at a greater percentage than the growth inside of cities. This is relatively unusual. The growth outside of cities was at 1.17%, and the growth inside of cities was at 1.07%. And I reminded the council a little bit about the city's growth plans. We have a 20-year comprehensive plan. We have infrastructure plans. We have to certify that we have the infrastructure to satisfy the growth we've planned in the city. And we also have fees, standards, zoning, a whole variety of things that help manage growth. And the city's goal is really to maintain the level of service that we provide to our residents when it comes to parks, when it comes to traffic congestion, when it comes to a variety of things as we continue to grow. We feel like we've got a lot of the things in place to do that. The one caveat is when we see a lot of growth in the county outside of the city, particularly if it's higher density growth than what you would traditionally see in a county that is practicing the state's Growth Management Act, as ours is, that can create unintended consequences. For example, we do not mitigate for the county's traffic impacts inside the city when growth happens around us. We don't have the ability to do that. Only the county could do that. But we are absolutely doing the best we can with growth inside the city and working through the process. And we're required by state law to accommodate growth. And we're required when we have the necessary infrastructure to process things like subdivisions within 90 days. So the state is a very individual property rights oriented state. And once you have your plans in place and your infrastructure secured and ready to go and a good solid plan for how that's going to be financed, things progress. And in the case of development, new developers, when they come in, they're required to put in the infrastructure to offset the impact of their development directly locally. And then in the case of SQUIM, we also have impact fees that are tied to projects that are tied to our plans that look at what is going to happen as growth occurs in the greater, for example, traffic system. And we have projects already allocated planning for that growth. We know that as more growth occurs, there'll be more congestion. We'll need to do some projects to offset that congestion. That's where the impact fee money goes for traffic, for parks. And also we have connection fees for our water and sewer utilities, which essentially have new residents. It's applied to the cost of the home. So typically the developer pays the cost and then passes it through. But those connection fees help pay for basically they represent a lot of the costs that have been borne by residents previously who have been a part of the system for a while. And it's basically the buy-in fee for folks connecting to our system. Once people are here, we have the lowest water rates in the region. So our philosophy is that growth pay for growth. And so that's a little sidebar on growth, but that's how our city's set up, and that is what we espouse. And in other places, that's not necessarily the case. All right, employee engagement webinar. We have been asked by the Statewide Government Performance Consortium to be a part of an employee engagement seminar. We recently did an employee engagement survey within the city, and we registered a 63% engagement level. The national average is about 30. What this means is that our employees are more productive, they're less likely to call in sick, they're more proactive, they really put their passion into their jobs. And this is super great, and we do a lot of things to try to encourage that because we want our people to be at their best for our residents and our visitors here to this community. And so we try to make this the most pleasant, engaging, fun, rewarding workplace we possibly can. And so that's what that effort's all about, and we've done it. Spokane County's done a survey of a similar type, and so both of us are going to partner on a webinar, statewide webinar, to talk about that. There's an annual planning forum on homelessness that's coming up next week, and our Sergeant Sean Madison from the police department has been involved in outreach on human services and homelessness issues from the police department, and so he's going to represent the city on a panel at that regional gathering, and I was letting the council know that. My evaluation's coming up, but it's been a while since I've had an evaluation. The last one was February of 2016, so I let council know in advance of that evaluation, which will occur in early August, that I'll be writing a memo to them that just recaps things that we've done related to the council's priorities, as well as other things that we've done. So that will help them at least evaluate me. And lastly, next week, I'll be attending the Association of Washington Cities annual conference, which is in Vancouver, Washington. I'll be going with councilors Bob Lake and John Miller. And so I was letting the council know there won't be an update next week because we won't be here for doing that, but I will be in touch via email intermittently as well as cell phone. And Joe Irvin, as always, when I'm away and he's here, will be the acting city manager. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you all have a great weekend, and wherever you are, enjoy yourselves. Take care.